Okay, let's do a quick run through of my top three and what I plan to do. So, as I mentioned in my video that I made on Sunday, I said that Bitcoin dominance looked very bullish, and on any pullback, alts were going to get destroyed. And that's exactly what's happening right now. If you are wondering why, altcoins are getting, beat on and while Bitcoin's going up, it's because of this reason. So dominance, extremely bullish. You know, like I said in the video, we don't have uh, any divergences that actually played out, even though we had multiple of them. So we are even on above the weekly resistance currently. And honestly, I can see this continuing to go higher. So if this goes higher and Bitcoin price goes down, alts are going to get smacked. And I'm talking about a 20 to 30% move to the lower end. So if you are looking to buy some alts on discounts, set your limits because I do think we will get them. But even if Bitcoin goes up, alts won't go up as much. So it's a lose-lose situation here for alts. And this is what I see happening, at least what I see happening for Bitcoin. So everyone and their mother is calling for a head and shoulders here. This isn't the case. We never broke down below the support. We never broke this neckline into resistance. So everyone that was shorting, at the neckline here, got destroyed, unfortunately. So I see my man Jay Powell coming to speak tomorrow. And if we look at this historically the past few weeks, or sorry, not the past few weeks, the past few FOMCs, every time he spoke, we have had a rally into, the conference. Man comes out, says the same thing over and over again. The last few times he's been hawkish. So it's, we've had that move down. So I expect us to rally into FOMC, and I expect us to one of two areas, and I gave these shorts on both of them. So we have this 2-hour order block. And the 2-hour chart, and the 8-hour chart, and the 12-hour chart has been the charts that I've been playing a lot recently. So my reasoning for this short is 2-hour order block into this resistance here. So instead of playing it at the bottom of the order block, I'm playing it at the middle along with the resistance confluence. And I have a 2-hour closure above this 98.46. 460 level. And the reason for that is because I do think that, sorry, one sec. I do think it's because we could easily go and take out these highs here before we die. And I don't want to be stopped out. So taking minimal exposure on the stop loss, I will probably have hard stops above like 99K. But for now I'm playing it this way, and the other reason is because I do plan to be short on my swing account on the other short that I gave a few days ago. It is this one here. So this entry basically is a little bit lower than the stop loss, but that's why I'm playing these on two different accounts. This is on my scalp account, where I'm entering this one on my swing account. So in the event that we go up into that 98.2 region, enter this. I have higher DCA set on this one. You can find it in my channel. And then this one is just one entry, no DCA, and playing it hopefully for a sweep above these highs and then push it back down, playing this range over and over again. um, the other plays that I currently have on Bitcoin, okay, is this here. I explained why. So Bitcoin is currently ranging, and for those that are following not only my Twitter, but I also posted on my channel, Once we fell below this previous range here, we turned into resistance and then we went back down to the mid-range level. Here's the range low level, and the range low level is where I'm looking for interest, but I do think it might get front ran because we do have the equal lows here. So I think that, whoops, I think that we go and get this low. So I'm playing this 4-hour order block, and that is a limit order. The only condition on this trade is I will DCA if we sweep these lows here. Otherwise, it's only going to be one entry. So basically, I'm risking like 1 to like 1.5% here. Um, Entry and then DCA, which would bring the average down to about here if we do get it. And I'm looking for a reversion back to first mid-range, then range highs, and then eventually to these highs here. All right, so that's one of the reasons why I'm taking this trade here, and the only reason that this DCA is conditional. The limits are set, it's firm, it's just that DCA is conditional. And then the other reason for or the other reason I'm taking this trade on a swing account, which is this long here, is eventually the retest of previous resistance gets, filled most of the time. So we had the break of structure at the 87.5k level. We broke out, never retested it. Very, very strong area for a bounce if we are to get this move back here. So getting a move into that 88.8k, DCAing at that 87.5k level, and a daily closure below this 86k level is when I'm going to manually tap out. But this one might take some time. In the event it happens when I'm on vacation, I won't be able to update. So, you guys have to manage your own positions there. Hopefully it happens sooner. I will be on vacation from the 15th through the 27th with limited access, so I won't be able to update anything. I'm enjoying time away from charts and Discord, as we all should. So I do expect us to push up first, hopefully, fill some shorts, and then come back down. I don't expect any rate cuts to happen. I think the market's pricing in rate cuts for June for some reason, but I do expect us to have rate cuts in September. Um, the reason for that is because job markets are still relatively okay, that we haven't had any drawdown on those that's going to, convince Jay Powell to rate cuts. I do think the whole tariff situation needs a little bit more time. 1 month is not enough. So that's going to take some time. Also, the big seven companies like Meta and stuff have had really good earnings, so there's no um, risk exposure into having rate cuts yet. We will get them. I do think we have two this year, maybe three. So I think September's FOMC is going to be the first one. I'd be surprised if we get one during the next FOMC meeting. So, and the next one being tomorrow. Um, so that's why, I don't understand why, people are thinking, the Fed's going to quantitative ease right now. There's not enough information. So I do think, we still are going to be range bound back to 88K eventually. And then hopefully that 88K happens sooner before I leave. I don't know if it will, but if it doesn't, it's going to be a summertime thing in my opinion. Now let's talk about ETH. We have really honestly nothing to talk about. This shitcoin is not going to be moving anytime soon. We actually did break down here from the ascending triangle that was similar to what Bitcoin had before it broke out. This is what I am referring to. Okay, here was the ascending triangle on Bitcoin before it broke out. ETH is a useless piece of shit. So there's a reason why I haven't really been giving any ETH calls, even though it was one of my most traded assets last year. It's just dead. Um, so there's basically I mean, you can also redraw the trend line eventually. If we're about to close below here, it's a bearish retest. Two trigger longs here. Well, not two trigger longs, one trigger long and one limit above here, and we flip it to support. then you're going to long with stop somewhere below the support here. That's conditional. The next one, I'm looking for a move. I think it gets front ran here at the 1670 markish, but any deep wicks just like these into this order block, this one here, is where you want to most likely get into it. I think this was a 12-hour order block, it was. So that's why, playing that area is more desirable than trying to front run it here. It's only like, a $50 difference, but if this is supposed to dump and we close below here, the technical targets for this is going to be the front, or the basically the retest point of the breakout point. So you can start small entries around there. It's about $100 drop from here, but I would love to get a deeper wick into this 12-hour order block and play it higher. Otherwise, ETH really isn't interesting. I'm waiting for this $2,100 region, 2,150 to mega short it back down. But ETH, I wouldn't recommend anyone to trade it anytime soon. Okay. Now Sol is pissing me off because I'm trying to get my bids filled at 140 and it won't give it to me. Two areas where I'm looking for plays on Sol. Let me remove this. Actually, 3 plays, and all were discussed in my video. So this is no longer valid. Okay. Here was the previous range on Sol. We fell below, we deviated back to range highs. Now we're hovering here. So I still think this mid-range level is a good area to possibly look for short scalps. However, recently, playing anything at the golden pocket, you have been able to get a wick into a little bit higher. The last bearish order block remains here. So I think a little bit higher, instead of starting it right at the mid-range golden pocket, I think starting it a little bit higher, maybe around like 150, stops above this wick there do make sense. Meanwhile, trying to play this 4-hour order block, I think it was a 2-hour order block actually, it was, is where I plan to get into Sol longs, depending on reaction. But this 140 is still a spot bid that I'm waiting for it to fill. But this is a valid setup to take because the order block was just tapped. We actually flipped this previous resistance here to support right there. So support is holding. We missed it briefly. There's still a lot of liquidity here. This would be most likely a scalp play because the stop is very tight. You have a 1.78% risk here. But the swing that I would love to take would be this demand zone here. Now, this does make sense. This would be a bullish Quasimodo pattern, as discussed in the video. You have your lower low into a lower high, into a lower low, into your higher high, come back down, put in another higher low, which is still above here, and that is where I would most likely look for swing plays. So around 134-ish, you might front run it just a little bit, but looking at this, and then hopefully at this point it takes out the highs at the 180 mark. So this is still the play that I am personally going to be taking, but just to put it out there, when I go on vacation, I am canceling all my limit orders for myself. I will not be having my phone or charts on me, and I can't, manage my risk when I'm not able to check charts. So I'm not taking any leverage plays. However, the plays are still valid to take. So if you guys do want to take them, by all means, you'll just have to manage the positions yourself. But this is what I'm looking for a major swing. Hopefully this lines perfectly with Bitcoin going down to that 91 to 88K level. Fill this up and then go higher. Okay. Now I have 15 minutes left. I'm just going to go through charts that have been very strong as of recent. I don't have time to take a look at multiple charts. So Hype, I've been telling people not to short this coin, and the reason for that is because of Hyperliquid's point system, possible airdrop. Okay, um, this isn't going down with everything else. This is being propped up because people are buying hype. They're not selling it because one, staking it is going to get them to have points generated for potential airdrop, but also staking hype is going to get them, fee reduction on Hyperliquid. So every single move down that hype has had, it's just fully retraced it. Okay, so if this gets a move down, this should be one of the coins on everyone's radar. Now, we are breaking out here from a falling wedge. The technical targets of this falling wedge rely on it going back to the highs. We could see a potential triple top. There is no clean structure in trying to short. Okay, we are at resistance here. And I've said this multiple times. Whenever you have an uptrend, which we are in one, consolidation under resistance leads to a massive breakout. That's exactly what we are doing. Not only that, but we have a falling wedge. So if this is to break out, if Bitcoin is to push for that 97 to 98K mark, I expect this to go to like $22 or $23. Now, there are always those degens that want to possibly look for shorts. If you're looking for shorts, this would be the area to do it. $24 to $25 region. You might get front ran maybe around that 22.65, but that if you're taking this, just expect going into this with a loss because hype has been that strong. Plus, this is the last level before we just have basically thin air from here up until that $30 mark, right? So this is going to be a high risk play, but like I said, I'm non-biased. I'll give anything. I'm just not stupid enough to short something that's powerful on the way up. But there's always those degens out there that want to take some risk, and this is for you. All right. Now, if we get a move back into hopefully a wick down into this region around 18.75-ish, that's where you want to long. Okay. And if Bitcoin goes down and comes back up, expect this to be very strong. I would most likely go into this on spot because leverage is super volatile, but anywhere from 18 down to 15, $14 is where you want to load up on spot, and eventually in 2 months or 3 months you'll be able to sell this for 2x in my opinion. All right. Popcat has been another strong coin on my radar. Okay. So it's compressing. This yellow box is holding. Okay. If this yellow box is lost, around 29 down to 28 cents is where you want to buy this shitcoin. Again, it's a breakout point that hasn't been retested. If you were to draw fibs from swing lows to swing highs, you're not going to get it, but it gives you, potential areas. For some reason, I don't know why this coin's making a resurgence. Dog with a hat is not, but with fart coin pumping, this looks like it wants to break to the upside. This isn't a symmetrical triangle, but this looks like it's compressing for a volatile move in either direction. Now, for some reason, I want to say it's to the downside, only because the support here has been touched, a quadrillion times, whereas this one has been touched only 4. We just got recently rejected from the upper trend line, so if Sol, and this is a Sol beta, if Sol is to completely nuke down to that 134, set your limit orders around, probably front run this because everyone's looking at the same level. Around 29.5 cents down to 27 cents. That's where you want to buy. And I think this can do a 2x from these levels. So, my opinion, spot is the best to buy. But even if you don't, this would be most likely your spot play. Any daily closure below 22 cents will get you out of this play, but buying in this zone here should at least give you a 50 to 60% move. Okay, so I personally am looking for a buy, a move into here. I want to give this play out, but I only have 5, 6 plays, and my risk management only allows me to have or 5 plays open on spot until I sell one and look for reallocation. So I'm not going to deviate away from my trade plan. If I get out of one coin, this is going to be my next coin to possibly look into. But for now, I'm staying stable. If it comes here, then this would be an area where I'm looking to buy. I just have to move some stuff around. So just keep that in mind. I wouldn't short this coin either right now unless we break down below this box here. Okay, if we break down below this box and turn into resistance, that is your short trigger with stops somewhere above here, and you're going to basically target that yellow box. I don't know where the stops would be. We don't have uh, details on this yet. We need price action to develop. So somewhere above here and targeting that box there. It's about a 2R trade. Okay. And then the other coin, obviously, Fart coin is getting weaker and weaker. I think Fart coin is toast for now, but Sui, okay? This is one coin that I do think it will eventually bounce. Okay. So just like the bullish Quasimodo that I showed you guys, right? This played out with a bearish Quasimodo. We had the higher high, easier to see with the line chart. Okay, higher high into a higher low. Here's your higher high. This actually made a lower low. Okay, rejected from the lower high point and then came back down. Okay, now this coin, if this was the range low, we had, and this was the trigger play. We never had the trigger play hit. We broke above, right? We didn't retest the range low to turn it into support. We actually confirmed that this was a deviation on both sides. So a fake out and then an actual breakdown. We turned the range lows into resistance. I wasn't awake for this, but that would have been a short with stops above there, targeting this demand zone down there. This has lost structure on a lower time frame, okay, because this was your last lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. Most likely comes and bounces from this demand zone. Now, in my video, and I don't know if I mentioned it in my channel, but I said that this demand zone here, this prop up that we had from $3 all the way to 330 was due to that Pokemon rumor that Sui had migrated over, or sorry, Pokemon had migrated over to the Sui network, all right? So it hasn't been confirmed, and usually movements like that, it was just this, and then we did break structure and continue to run, but uh, what happened afterwards could have been continuation from this rumor. Usually gets retraced. All right, and going back to that mean would be around $3. That's where it started. So that is an area where we should bounce from. It would also be technically another lower low here. So that is where I'd be interested in possibly looking for some small longs. All right, so entry around 3, stop loss below 282. And because we know how volatile this coin is, I would most likely go in with like 20 or 30% an entry and DCA somewhere around 294, 293-ish with the remaining of your position. Okay, this again, maybe a double bottom placed here, but there's no long trigger unless we reclaim this range low level and turn it into support. Then you could long back to the range highs. And if we get a move into that range high level, you have this 4-hour order block that I was looking to short. Originally, my short was a little bit higher. It got invalidated after we went below 320. But if this is to pump from here, the new short would be around 647. Okay, with stops above basically this wick here. Spot play gave him a more recent. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with TradingView, but my lines disappear. That 307 was that mean before the pump. That's where I'd be looking to start spot bids. Heavier bids would be around this retest of this market structure break. So 2.78ish is where I plan to have my heavier bids. And if the spirits above, I don't believe in religion or God, but if the spirits above, give us a deeper wick into here, this is where I would be placing my Hail Mary bids. Now, for those that don't understand how my spot trading works, I usually uh, this isn't the case, but I usually enter in with like 10% or 15% to have exposure in the event that the market doesn't go down. Okay, and then I have my bids set. But how my overall spot plays work is I don't expect all my bids to get filled. I expect at least 60 to 80% of my bids to get filled. I always have that Hail Mary bid just in case we have capitulation like this, okay, or like this. So that's how I play it. I never intend to have a full 100% allocation on my spot bids, but I do expect to have at least 60 to 80% filled. If they don't fill, then I will add much higher or I will recompound. So that means if this entry fills and we get a 15% move, I will sell, recompound, or I will TP and recompound, or I will add above if, resistance is flipped to support. Okay, that's how I usually go into about my spot bids. I don't look for 100% fills because how I play it is I always have Hail Mary bids in all of my plays. Okay. Yes, I could, remove that and expect 100% fills, but that's not how I've had success. So this is why I have these deep bids just in case, and most of the times they don't fill. Sometimes they do, that's great, but just keep that in the back of your heads when taking my plays. If you, want 100% fills, then entry and your DCA is going to get you that, all right? And I will do this shitcoin just once. It's my last coin, but okay. So if Farcoin is to bounce, it's from here. Okay, we just put in a higher high. We actually closed. Here, let's go to a line chart. We closed and made a lower low here. Okay, and possibly our first lower high. So market structure has been broken here on Farcoin. Now lose this trend line and turn it into resistance. This is going to be your setup. Okay, and you're going to be targeting basically, here, this is cleaner so you can see this demand zone here. Okay. And my lines just disappeared. But basically that demand zone there is where you're going to be targeting if this is to break down and turn this into resistance. All right. Now you can draw this trend line a different way. Here is a potential rising wedge. It doesn't matter. Chart looks bearish. So if this breaks down, this is going to be your setup on the pending retest. Okay. Or what you can do is we may not get that retest, right? So if we close below, you can enter in with a small amount and you can add more if we get that bearish retest and closure below. But the reason for going in with that small amount is if we close back above this trend line, then you can get out with a small loss. All right. I prefer the retest approach, but I there are different options when trying to play breakdowns and breakouts. All right. So these are the only coin. Well, I don't care about fart coin, but I would love to get um, some leverage exposure on the pullback tomorrow. Hopefully, we go down to that 92K level, get that pump up, and then if we don't, if we get a deeper approach or deeper retrace into that 88K level, that's where I'd be looking to start my swing longs, and then hopefully look for 100K by midsummer, I would say. Um, Now, the other thing we have to keep in the back of our minds is Trump announced that on Thursday, Friday, or Monday, he's going to announce something big. It's most likely related to the Middle East news, so anything related to Gaza, in my opinion, that could have an effect on the markets. Um, and I think they have news that came out today that they're going to announce. I think Besant, the treasurer or the Secretary of Treasury, said he's going to announce something regarding tariffs. So it's going to be a volatile day tomorrow and the rest of the week, in my opinion. Um, with Bitcoin dominance going up and Bitcoin volatility, okay, being in the zone here, we haven't had much volatility. I expect this to go berserk. I think we're about to have one of the biggest volatility spikes in the market for some months now. All right, so if you are in leverage, I would be very cautious. Uh, Whether it's shorts or longs, I would reduce my exposure if I were people, or if I were you people. So if you normally go in with, let's say, you know, $100 or $200 margin per trade, I would lower that to like maybe 2/3 or half of normal position size, because I do think it's going to be very volatile, and you might probably see another big liquidation event happening very soon. That's just my guess. Who knows? But whenever we've had these big spikes into these lows here, we usually have, and you can go back and check this. This is probably a big liquidation event. This was a big liquidation event. This definitely was a big liquidation event. um, this was after the presidency, or after he was sworn in, and then we just dumped, right? So keep that in the back of your heads. But that's it for me, guys. I probably won't stream the rest of the month because I'll be gone. But if I do, it'll be just next Tuesday. Other than that, that is it for me, guys. All right, I'll see you guys later.